What is self-development?
Looking at the different parts of yourself as a person.
What's the correlation between self-awareness and self-development?
Self awareness is a first step on someone's journey towards self development. My interpersonal relationships and communication have absolutely skyrocketed since I started this journey.
They took these weightlifters and they didn't pick up any weights for 2 weeks, and they just applied their minds and visualized picking up a heavier weight. And when they got back in 2 weeks, they had a 13% increase in the amount of weights they could pick up.
You can chart how your brain essentially thinks.
Wow. Don't you think self-awareness, self-development should be taught at schools? Hello and welcome to another episode of Med Centers TV. I'm your host, Divya Nagarajan. Today I am thrilled to introduce our special guest, Dr. Divya, who not only shares this passion of self-development, but also actively works to make these concepts accessible to all through her engaging blog and upcoming podcast episodes, Doctorology. Welcome, Dr. Divya. We are so excited to have you on MedTennis TV today. Self-development. How did you decide, or what was it? What stimulated you to delve into self-development?
It started when I first started med school, I suppose. I realized that coming out of high school, you're always a topper, get the top grades, which is why I get into med school. Then you go into medical school where everyone is super clever and you just want to keep up with what everyone else is doing. So I kind of thought, gosh, what can I do to sort of keep up, make sure I'm still same level as everyone else? And I looked into what I could do better. And one of them was certainly study skills. So I started that process of developing my study skills by going through books, looking at resources that could help. And from there, I realized, oh gosh, that's really great. So what other parts of myself could I develop? And just fell into that, I suppose.
Okay, so for our listeners, our viewers, in layman terms, what is self-development?
Self-development, the way I see it at least, is looking at the different parts of yourself as a person and then reflecting on what you feel that you could do better or work on even more. Could be either something as simple as your painting skills, so you could be a way better painter, or something like communication skills. So that way your interpersonal relationships would be even more smooth and more effective. So that's one way of considering personal development, but it can mean entirely different things to everyone you ask.
You know, there's so much of material, so much of information going around regarding self-development. But for someone that's eager to start on this journey, where do you suggest they start?
Yeah, the first thing I would suggest is to start by reflecting on yourself. Draw a little mind map on the different elements of yourself. It can be as simple as my personal skills, and you can branch off to my professional skills, such as what you need to do at work. And there can also be other elements of your life, like family, parenting, for example. That's a skill that can be developed. And taking that on board and then figuring out which parts you would like to start working on. Obviously, you can't do everything all at once. So taking things one step at a time, just figuring out one little goal.
You know, we have social media again. There's Gen Z, Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, baby boomers. For if you fall into any one of those categories, I'm sure you not, or you've been living under a rock for all of these years. Self-awareness, which has been one of the big things for myself, putting things in perspective. What's the correlation between self awareness and self development?
Self awareness is a first step on someone's journey towards self development. Self awareness is the brainstorming, it's a good way of describing that, of the different elements that we spoke about before. And then self development leads on to that and it helps you make active action plans.
It doesn't matter where you're at, correct me if I'm wrong. So you could be in any work situation, in any career situation. You could be a mom, you could be a dad, you could be in a relationship, um, and you can apply these self development skills, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the tools you could use with regards to self development?
Yeah, there's a lot of things out there which is really, really amazing. And you can be a bit swamped by what's available online now. Couple of very, very good ways to start that journey. There's a really good book that I would recommend by this fantastic author called Tara Swart. She is a trained psychiatrist and then a neuroscientist and has written a book called The Source that has a lot of neuroscience research, and she goes through how to use the lessons learned from the neuroscience research into developing a personal development plan, pretty much on how you want to improve yourself. There's lovely little exercises that you can do at the end of most chapters that will provide anyone who wants to start off their journey with a structured guide that they can use. That's a really, really good resource. I would recommend for anyone who looks at it and goes, gosh, there's too much out there. Where do I start? That's something I would definitely recommend.
And if you're not someone that likes to read,
Yeah. If you like to listen to podcasts, say if you're super busy, you've got a long commute, you just want to hear something really useful, something that's hard hitting, I would definitely recommend the Science of Success podcast. They have some amazing authors and researchers that talk about their work, and it's on different elements based on what they specialize in. Each episode always has something that pretty much anyone can apply straight away. It can be something to do with work, yourself, or family, as an example. And they always go with a little action plan that you can go away and do at the end of every episode. So they give you a little bit of homework to do.
so what is mind maps?
Oh, mind maps, they are a fantastic way. You can chart how your brain essentially thinks. You may have come across Tony Bazan. He's what they call the father of mind maps. And he used to describe it in a way your brain is not linear, it doesn't go from one thought to another to another. It links with three different thoughts. It's almost like it spreads out of thoughts. So the way to link one thought with another, or one concept with another, you can chart it. It's a good way for study skills especially, and good way to mind map what you want to do in terms of a work project as well.
There's so many different things happening every day, and it happens to all of us. We get the busyness and the pace of life, and life happens, and has, the one commodity of time you cannot get back. And if you're on this hamster wheel of life, be it whatever situation, sometimes the days, the weeks, the months, and the years passes by, and you don't take a step back in retrospect and go, what am I doing? Where can I get better? How can I plan for making myself better, for executing stuff better, or taking away things that are not actually adding any value to my life, and so forth. And when I had done that, I went, wow. And one of the things that made sense to me was visualization. Listening to Tara Swat, the whole instance where, she said weightlifters didn't pick up any weights for 2 weeks, and they just visualized picking up a heavier weight. When they got back after 2 weeks, they had a 13% increase, which I thought was phenomenal. a 30% increase in the amount of weights they could pick up. And just that simple kind of analogy of taking a step back and really thinking about what we're doing in whatever aspect it is, and then visualizing. Because if you can visualize it, you can see yourself actually doing it. And by visualizing, you then look at, or you start to find things that you don't need to do. It's not adding any value. So, with that in mind, how did that add value? What did it do to change your life? And why are you so, I get it, why are you so excited or have such a passion for the self development?
I have a really, really deep passion for personal development because I felt that the impact it made on my life is just almost unmeasurable in a way. I find that I have a lot more time to do the things that I really want to, not because that's what I've always been doing over a certain amount of time. And I also found that my interpersonal relationships and communication have absolutely skyrocketed since I started this journey. That was one of my personal goals, was communication. And I just felt that I was able to put out more into the world and able to help other people as well, especially the ones that don't really know where to go. They're really stuck and they really need some sort of help or guidance. It can be family, it can be friends. It's also professionally as a doctor, you feel that you have more ability to help others.
And that's a good segue to get into my next question. You, as a big advocate and someone that is passionate about self development, I get it. I can see, I can see the benefits. I've started my journey. So, have you started advising, or have you started with your patients incorporating self development into your consults or advice? And if so, what are some of the results that you're seeing with your patients?
Yeah, that's actually a really good one because a lot of people tell me the same thing every day. I wish I was a bit more focused. I wish I had a bit more structure in my life, or I wish I could eat better or exercise more. So, what I do with my patients is I talk to them on their level, no jargon, nothing medical, just simply ask them what they're currently doing, what do they want to do, and provide them with resource that's scientifically backed and just help them along that journey by giving them clear cut plans. Both of us agree to it and then following up on those plans. And I found that a lot of people having direction, specific direction on how they can help themselves, has really made a positive impact on their life and well being.
So, Dr. Divya, let's talk about visualization. What is that for you? And what is that when you speak to your patients? Is that for them? And how do you incorporate it? How do you actually use visualization? How do you actually train yourself? And how do you measure? How do you measure the results?
There's a really easy way to look at visualization. The way I see it is you start off with a mind map, more colors the merrier, it pops out a lot more. And using that mind map of the things that you've identified that you want to develop and put that on what we call a vision board. A vision board is something that's used quite frequently. You've heard about it probably on social media, but a really good way of describing it would be to take a calendar, January all the way through to December, and have set timelines for goals. If I take one goal, for example, say I could tell you I want to learn how to do watercolor paintings, but that timeline has to be by July. And in your vision board, write in little steps to help you achieve that big goal by the end of July. And you can add in all your other goals with timelines and deadlines with little minute steps to go along the way to help you achieve that goal on the whole. That's one way of using the mental visualization method, putting it on paper and then adding it as an action plan with little steps to get you there.
It's something that I've thought about because I see the benefits of self development, incorporating visualization, being true and honest to myself about things that are working and not working, and then making the attempt to get better, better as a father, better as a person, get better with my health, get better as a businessman, get better as a friend, whatever it may be. Don't you think self awareness, self development should be taught at schools,
Oh,
should be
absolutely.
incorporated into our kids and advised from a little, when they little, self development? I've been thinking, if I was taught this in school, when I was in school, self awareness, self development, what a difference it would have made. You know, it became self development, self awareness. It's became more prevalent 2000 and just post 2000. They said, Forbes has said that millennials are the biggest drivers and consumers of self development. And I was just thinking, shouldn't we be teaching that at our schools? Shouldn't we be teaching it to our kids? What's your thoughts?
Oh, I absolutely agree. Self development is not something only for adults, it's something you can learn from a very, very young age. It can be extremely, extremely straightforward. For example, we teach children swimming. That's also a skill that you develop over time. And if we teach children skills right the way from when they're teeny tiny, you can improve their lives, make them a little happier, a little bit more fulfilled in what they want to do rather than frustrated. They can't do something that they really want to. Kids can't describe things and explain things like we would. So, as a parent myself, I do spend a lot of time thinking about how I can help my little one develop as well. And it's never too late. If you, as a parent, start on the self development journey yourself, you can take what you've learned and teach it to your children, your nieces, your nephews, even your own parents if you like. So, you can always take what you learn and explore it with everyone around you.
Dr. Divya, it's been enlightening and an absolute pleasure having you on MedCenters TV today. In closing, do you have any piece of advice that you can give to our listeners or our viewers that are on their own personal journey of self development?
Yeah, the first thing I'd say is good on you for starting. And the second thing I'd say is start simple, start basic. Even a single goal is a good starter. Mind map what you want to do, put it on a visual board, and just slowly take it at your pace. There's no rush, it's all at your own pace.
Self development is a personal journey, unique to everyone. It requires commitment, patience, and perseverance, whether through small daily actions or life changing experiences. The pursuit of personal growth leads to a more fulfilling and purposeful life. By actively engaging in self development, we not only improve our own lives, but can also positively influence those around us. Dr. Divya, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on MedCenters TV today.
Thanks so much for having me here today.
From me, Dion Raju, your host, goodbye until another episode of MedCenters TV.